Combat helmet can be switched into emergency transponder location mode. If that can be placed anywhere near the primary, Strike can use it to target. How copy? Command, activating beacon on my bucket.
No
We're
one's
clear.
making that
Form
shot.
up. KTF.
Except me. It means kill them first.
I'm going forward.
Hello everyone and welcome back to A Bit Tactical, where today I'm doing a quick guide for the Scout Squadron. Essentially, this is going to be a primer for the rest of the series in which I'm going to break down every single part of the Scout Squad. Here, you're going to find a full explanation of the rules. I am going to be doing a bit of rules reading, but essentially in some parts where it's just a little too wordy, I'm going to break down into simpler terms what it is that it exactly means, as well as throwing some tips and tricks in there that I've learned from the games that I've played with them. I'll also have a dedicated guide portion, again, just for small general tips just to get you going, but the rest of the video is going to be about simply explaining how the team works. There are timestamps in the description for your convenience, so without further ado, let's get right into the rules, starting with what makes the Scout Squad really unique, and that's their faction rule, Forward Ops.
Don't cut yourself.
Objective: destroy Covenant carrier in geosynchronous orbit above us.
This sanctioned, sir. What do you think? Oh.
Method:
Forward scouting are a series of 9 options, of which you can choose up to 6, which you will deploy after the setup operative step. Next to each scouting option is going to be a number in brackets, and that's the amount of times you can take it. And with that, let's actually just get started on them with reposition. You can take this one up to 2 times, and basically this is going to be a 6-inch reposition movement. However, it has to end within 3 inches of your deployment zone. The reason it's a reposition instead of just a dash is that it gives you the ability to actually climb if that's necessary for whatever movement you're going to take. Redeploy allows you to change the deployment position of up to 3 of your operatives for this kill team. It says that it's a 3rd, but since it's a 9 operative kill team for the moment, that means 3 operatives. Next up is the trip alarm marker. This will allow you to get the seek weapon rule so long as an enemy is within 2 inches of this token. It's going to be active during the 1st and 2nd turning point. During the strategy phase of the 3rd, you do have to take it away, and when placing it, it has to be outside of 6 inches of your opponent's deployment zone. Then you have your booby trap, which you can take 1 time. You must deploy outside of 6 inches of your opponent's deployment zone and outside of 2 inches of other markers, accessible terrain, or access points. The first time somebody steps onto this mine, because it basically is a mine, they immediately end their action, and then you inflict 2d3 damage on them. If you can't place down the operative correctly on the table, move him the minimum amount to do so in order to place them. Then you have tactical maneuver. Once per battle, you can add an extra APL to one of your operatives, including your sergeant, and you have to do this during the strategy phase, and you can only take this once. Diversion can be taken once, and once per battle, during a strategic gambit, select 1 enemy operative within 6 inches of a kill zone. Until the end of that operative's next activation, subtract 1 from its APL. Devised plan very simply just gives you 1 extra CP. You're always going to take this. Then you have designate target. Select 1 enemy operative to gain 1 of your target tokens. Whenever a scout squad operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against an enemy operative that has 1 of your target tokens, you can re-roll 1 of your attack dice. Now do notice that this is kind of like balanced, but it is not balanced, which means that if you have another instance of balance, you can use this and that during that shooting attack or fighting attack or retaliation. Then finally, we have Spy, which forces your opponent to reveal their Tac Op. Alright, and just for new people, here's a starting loadout. These are basically fire and forget things. You could do it at the beginning of the match and not have to worry about it, and then just get right into the game. You'll still get some benefits, but for the most part, you'll be able to just focus on the game itself, and using these would make it so that you don't have to spend too much time looking at the map and looking at everything. They're just good for everything. Because I know for the first few games, I was spending a lot of time reading over everything, trying to choose, and then ending up not choosing something I wanted just because I was feeling rushed. Not because my opponents were being rude or anything, but just because you don't want to be the one that's taking up time.
You know how expensive this gear is, son?
Tell that to the Covenant.
For equipment, let's start out with the one that you're always going to use, which is Targeting Oculars, which gives you Lethal 5 and Saturate on your weapon attacks twice per turning point. So, that's it. There's no caveats. The only thing is, you have to select a valid target and then say you're going to do this. You cannot roll dice, and then after seeing the dice roll be, oh, I'm going to use Targeting Oculars. You have to call it beforehand. Camo Cloak allows you to retain 2 saves if you can retain 1. However, this is not Camo Cloak of other varieties, right? You don't ignore the Saturate rule. You can't use a crit save instead of 2 saves. It's just 2 normal saves if you are in cover. And this is not stock with improved cover saves. Combat Blade simply change your damage from 3-4 to 4-5. Do know it does not change your attack value at all. So it's still 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 4-5. For Heavy Weapon Bipod, if it's during a counteract or if you have not moved during the activation, then you get Ceaseless on your weapon attacks if you are a heavy gunner. If you already have Ceaseless, then you get Relentless instead. You can move after you have done the shooting attack, so that's pretty good. So very quickly, Targeting Oculars again, you're always going to take that. If you're against a shooting team that doesn't have easy access to Saturate, Camo Cloak's actually really good. With 10 wounds, even saving on 4s, you're actually a pretty tanky team against these people. And if you're always saving 2 cover saves and you're trying to outshoot each other, it's pretty good. And with scouts, outshooting isn't a bad place to go to. If you do in fact bring 2 gunners, then Heavy Weapon Bipod is a no-brainer, right? Upgrading to Relentless from Ceaseless, which you're probably always going to have, Turning Point 2 onwards, is really nice. And if you don't, having Ceaseless by itself without having to spend a CP to get it is also really good. And then Combat Blade, if you're going up against a team that's, pretty bad in melee, right? Those 3 attacks, 2-3 teams, 100% bring this. It'll wipe them out.
What if you miss?
I won't.
Speaking of not missing, Gunfire Ambush allows you to get balanced on your shooting attacks if you switch from Conceal to Engage, or if you are not visible to any enemy operative during the beginning of your activation. If the enemy operative you are shooting against is expended, you get Ceaseless instead. Blade Ambush has the exact same rules as Gunfire Ambush if you have switched from Conceal to Engage, or if you are not visible during the beginning of your activation by any enemy operative, you get Ceaseless on your melee attacks. However, if the target is expended, you also get Rending. Stealth Relocation, if you are more than 6 inches from an enemy operative, you can immediately perform a free dash, and you can change your order from Engage to Conceal, or if you want Conceal to Engage. Do note you can do either of these. You can dash without changing your order, or you can change your order without dash, or you can do both. Also, you can't do it during the first turning point. Then you have Guerrilla Engagement. If you are more than 6 inches from an enemy operative and you are in cover, you can re-roll one of your defense die. Probably not going to use this. If you know it's going to be a shooting gallery, obviously you're going to go with Gunfire Ambush, probably Turning Point 2 onward. And if it's the other way, you're going to do Gunfire Ambush. There have been times where I have done both of these ploys, and it works out really, really well. Stealth Relocate also is a really good thing. I cannot tell you how many times I've used this, especially with my gunners. I pop out, especially against an elite team, take a risky shot, and then do a dash, pop right back into cover, and into safety, or just get into a better position. I've done this so many times. This does make the team a little bit CP hungry, which is why that extra CP from your forward op is actually really, really good.
Let's move, Lieutenant!
Astartes training allows you to shoot twice so long as it's with an Astartes shotgun, a bolt pistol, or a bolt gun. Or you can also just fight twice. Do note that you don't have to have both of them be the bolt gun. You can shoot a crack grenade out and then also use the bolt gun as well. Raw physiology allows you to ignore injury for one operative. It does happen to happen during his activation. You have to play this, and then until their next activation. So this does go through turning points. If that's going to matter, you will ignore injury. Emboldened Aspirin allows you to change a normal into a crit, so long as it's the first time you've either fought or shot, or if the operative you're shooting at has a higher wound stat than you. Covert position is that if you are in cover and you are concealed, you cannot be a valid target no matter what. So if someone has Seek or if they're on Vantage, doesn't matter. They will always be concealed and they will not be a valid target unless your enemy is within 2 inches of them. These Firefight Ploys are pretty decent. With the easy access to extra APL, getting in that second shot's actually pretty common. And then everything else is very situational. So it's one of those cases where the strategy ploys are actually better than the Firefight Ploys. But the Firefight Ploys do have their uses so that when you do have to use them, you really only have to use 1 or 2 throughout the game, right? For example, with your sniper who has devastating wounds, using Emboldened Aspirin on him, if you can, is always going to be really nice.
That's Cat, Noble 2, Meal and George 4 and 5. You're riding with me, Noble 6. Not gonna lie to you, Lieutenant.
Alright, let's start with the Scout Sergeant. He's got 3 APL, a 6-inch move, a 4 up save, and 11 wounds. Comes with a few weapon options. The Astartes Shotgun, which has 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4/4 damage, range 6, and the Bolt Gun, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4. Both of those come with a Fist, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4. He also comes with the option of a Bolt Pistol, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, range 8, and that comes paired with a Chainsword, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5. He comes with Guidance and Experience, which gives another Scout Squad member that's visible to this Scout Sergeant 1 extra APL until the end of their next activation. And he has the Astartes weapon rule, which means he can perform 2 fight actions or 2 shoot actions, so long as an Astartes shotgun, bolt pistol, or bolt gun is used for one of those shooting attacks. And this operative can counteract regardless of its order. Let's move on to your heavy gunners. They have 2 APL, a 6-inch move, a 4 up save, and 10 wounds. This is the last time I'm going to mention the stat line because it's the same for everybody else. Each option does come with a bolt pistol, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, range 8, and Fist, which is 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4. Then 2 heavy weapons. The heavy bolter is focused, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5. Heavy, dash only, which means on the same activation that he shoots this weapon, he can only perform a dash. And then piercing crits 1, which means that if he does retain a crit, it is piercing 1, which means your opponent will only retain 2 save die. And then the heavy bolter sweeping version, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5, heavy, dash only, piercing crits 1, and torrent 1 inch, which means that anybody within an inch of the primary target you are shooting at can also be shot so long as they are a valid target. So if they are concealed and in cover, they won't be, but if they are engaged, they will be. Then you have the missile launcher, which comes with 2 weapon profiles. The frag, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/5 damage, blast 2 inches, which means that anybody within 2 inches of the primary shooting target can also be shot at. And unlike Torrent, it is not from visibility of your operative, it is from the visibility of the primary shooting target. So somebody that is in cover and concealed can still be shot with blast. And then missile launcher crack version, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 5/7 damage, heavy dash only, piercing 1. Then you have the Scout Hunter, which comes with a bolt pistol, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4, range 8, and a combat blade, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5. He also comes with a grapnel launcher. Whenever this operative is climbing up, you can treat the vertical distance as 2 inches, regardless of how far the operative actually moves vertically, which is really nice. And he also has grapnel assault. Whenever this operative performs the charge action during its activation, if it climbs, drops, jumps, or its base moves underneath vantage range during that action, its melee weapons have the lethal 3 weapon rule until the end of that activation. That is exactly what it sounds like. So if this guy hits and this is activated, then you will hit, every hit that you have will also be a crit. And then you have the Scout Sniper, which comes with a bolt pistol, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, range 8, and fist, 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4. He also comes with a sniper rifle, which has 2 weapon profiles. The mobile version is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, just a bolt gun, but it doesn't have the bolt gun name on it, so you can't use this to shoot twice, by the way. And then the sniper rifle stationary, 4 attacks hitting on 2s, 3-3, devastating 3, heavy, and silent. Devastating 3 means that when you retain a crit, as soon as you get the crit, you are immediately doing 3 damage to them, regardless of anything else, even if they block it later. And then silent means that you can shoot while concealed. Now, do note that with Gunfire Ambush, there's only one instance in which you can use these together, right? And that's if somebody is visible to you and nobody else is visible to your sniper operative. There's like a very rare, like into the dark, you can see somebody's foot, but they actually don't have any visibility to you. Then you can use this. You can use Gunfire Ambush and get Ceaseless or Balance, but for the most part, you're not going to be able to use it. It also comes with a Camo Cloak. Whenever an operative is shooting this operative, ignore the Saturate Weapon rule, and if you can retain any cover saves, you can retain 1 additional cover save, or you can retain the 1 cover save as a critical success instead. This isn't cumulative with improved cover save from Vantage Strike. It also comes with Optics until the start of this operative's next activation. Whenever it's shooting, an enemy operative cannot be obscured. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. So if you're going to use the stationary profile, you use 1 AP for Optics, and then you do the stationary profile, just so you can get, it would be a full attack, however, you just won't be able to move throughout the entire thing. Then you have the Scout Tracker, which comes with a bolt gun, 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, and fist, 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, nothing crazy. But he does have Track Enemy, which allows you to select 1 expended enemy operative within 8 inches of this operative until the end of the turning point. Whenever a friendly Scout Squad operative is shooting that enemy operative, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the Seek Light weapon rule. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative, and Seek Light means that if somebody's taking cover in light terrain, you actually can, they are now a valid target. He also has Auspex Scan until the start of this operative's next activation, or until it's incapacitated, whichever comes first. Whenever a friendly Scout Squad operative is shooting an enemy operative within 8 inches of this operative, that enemy operative cannot be obscured. If that friendly operative is a sniper that's currently benefiting from the effects of its Optics action, its ranged weapons also have the Seek Light weapon rule. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. Then finally, the Warrior comes with a few weapon options. The Astartes Shotgun, which is 4 attacks hitting on 2s, 4-4, range 6, and the Bolt Gun, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, both of which come with Fist, which is 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, and then he also has a Bolt Pistol, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4, range 8, and that comes with a Combat Blade, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4-5. He also has adaptive equipment. You could do each of the following once per turning point. 1 friendly Scout Squad Warrior operative can perform the Smoke Grenade action. 1 friendly Scout Squad Warrior operative can perform the Stun Grenade action. And then these rules for these actions are found in Universal Equipment. Performing these actions using this rule doesn't count towards the action limits, so you can still bring smokes and stuns, and you do not have to use them when you have your Scout Warriors, because they can just do them not for free, right? It still costs an APL, but they don't have to use towards that equipment usage. All right, so for the Scout Sergeant, personally, I like the Bolt Pistol and Chainsword. Just gives me a little bit more melee versatility, a guy that hits a little bit harder than some of the other operatives, or most of your operatives in terms of melee. But with such short options in terms of the Specialist here, you can actually, you do get a decent use out of your Warriors, and since that they have that adaptive equipment, one of them can throw a stun, one of them can throw a smoke, and not really affect too much of the team balance there. But really, the operatives themselves don't need much explaining or guide into using them. What does, though, is the team builds, so let's just go right into that. Alright, so personally to me, you're always going to bring your Specialist. Whether it's your Hunter, your Tracker, and I do count your Sniper as this as well. If anything, the Sniper can just be used as a normal person with a bolt gun. A little bit less use from the rest of the team. However, again, it's good to have those long-range options with these guys, especially since the shooting is really good. Like I said, with the Sergeant, I really do like him having the chainsword and the pistol, and not just because I think it looks cool, okay? I like the chainsword and the pistol. It's just cool. It's just cool. However, it doesn't really matter too much, right? If you give him a shotgun, not going to be the end of the world either. I just like a little bit more versatility in terms of melee. However, the real discussion is with the heavy gunners and the warriors, right? After the heavy gunners weren't able to double shoot, especially the heavy bolter, people don't like using them as much. However, I still like them. I think the heavy gunners have a lot of good use, especially against elite teams, right? These guys pack a punch. That 4-5 on a heavy bolter with ceaseless, I can't tell you how many times. And that piercing crits one, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten all hits and I've just decimated somebody, like absolutely destroyed them. Like I've outright killed elite models with one shot. I've outright definitely destroyed. Like if you get 4 hits, or if you get all hits and you get one of them as a crit, any elite model, any horde model immediately dies, right? Any model with between 8 to 10 wounds, they die, or 7 to 10 wounds, they die. Even Phobos strike team, right? They could potentially die if you get the crit and it still goes through. 4, 8, yeah, they just die. Yeah, heavy bolter, I really like it. You're rolling a lot of dice. The chances of you getting a crit are good. And then you have access to ceaseless always with these guys. So I think it's really good. And of course, the missile launcher, the crack, 5-7 damage. That's the elite killer. So personally, I like bringing them. Now against a team that's like 10 operatives out activates you or has the same activations as you, I could see an argument for having more warriors, taking no gunners, and just taking 2 more with knives. Or just with the shotguns, just to, push forward and be aggressive and stuff like that. Speaking of the warriors, you do have 2 good choices. If you're going up against a team that is really good at melee, having the shotguns on there, getting close to their face, blasting them away, that's not a bad plan. And it could give you opportunities to get them to expose themselves to you, so that your other team, the other part of your team that can shoot across the map, those people can now take advantage of that. But against like horde teams or like Kazarkin, Vet Guard, really any of these teams that, again, 3 attacks, 2-3 damage, even 3-4 damage, you can go in with melee, you can go in with your knives, and you can just wipe them. It's not that hard. Blade ambush even makes it better, makes it so that you hit everything, you get rending. You can do a lot of damage with these guys in melee against teams that do not have good melee. Now, obviously, I'm recording this ahead of time, so by the time this comes out, I have a feeling that plant beacons isn't going to be really relevant, so I'm not going to be talking about Tac Ops. I'll make its own video for the scouts when the new Tac Ops come out. But for now, while you're playing a game, if this does come out in time, obviously plant beacons. It's the best Tac Op in the game. It's very easy to accomplish with the scouts. It's really good. Always go Tac Ops. But now we're going on to the general guide portion of the Scout Squad. So for everybody who's just here for the straight up rules read, that time is done. Please go ahead. Sorry, my daughter is trying to crash into this room. So yeah, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you guys later. Now on to the guide, people. Listen, we're going to do some general tips here. If you have your heavy gunners, if you have both of them, definitely take the heavy weapon bipod. But also, find a good place for them, plant them there, keep them there. Don't be ashamed of that, right? Like, for example, against Nemesis Claw, what I did is both of my gunners, they stayed in spawn the entire game. And I was playing on a Volcus map. This wasn't a custom map. This was a Volcus map that I've actually played multiple times in tournaments. So this map, I just kept them here, and I'll put a picture of the map up here. I just kept them in my deployment zone. And when the Nemesis Call player came up and tried to take advantage of all my stuff, I immediately annihilated them with my gunners, right? And every single time I shot with them, I killed one of their models. So it was nasty. It was actually kind of disgusting because I was getting relentless every single time. So even when I had a whiff, I was able to re-roll it into a really good hit. And I actually won that game. And the Nemesis Call player even said, like, I can't believe that you not moving those guys at all worked out in your favor. And it really, really did. The sniper and hunter combo is really good, right? Because now you have a really interesting situation here where you can have 2 triple arm tokens and a booby trap to like completely close off a portion of the map, 100%. And then with your sniper and your tracker, you can cover the other side of the map, right? And with seek light and stuff like that. And then with the sniper, if you just get 1 crit and then you use embolden aspirant on this guy, if you can use it with him, you can then do devastation 3, which is what? At this point, we have 2 crits. That's 6 damage automatically through. 1 crit is basically confirmed to go hit, right? Unless the guy does something crazy. You're basically guaranteeing 9 damage against most horde teams. That's actually really good. But speaking of the tracker, having that bolt gun on him, being able to shoot across the map is actually really... There's been so many times where I was like, oh, hold on. Let me just shoot with my tracker, right? Everybody else is out of range. Everybody else has shotguns or pistols left. Let me just shoot with my tracker and I get a kill, right? Just because hitting on 3s, 3-4, ceaseless, all that stuff, not a bad idea. This team is really good at playing cagey, but also being aggressive, right? Again, with the 2 triple arm tokens and a booby trap, you can actually make it. If you go to the edge of the map, so you can actually make it so that if your opposing team has a bigger base than you, you can put a booby trap on the edge of the map and make it so that you are 100% able to go through that without setting off the booby trap, but your opponent is not. So just keep that in mind, right? Especially since it's on their side of the board, you can get a lot of use out of that. And then with your 2 seek tokens, you can cut off the other part of the map. All right, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, and remember, this is just the beginning of a longer series, hopefully coming out over the course of a month instead of 2. But yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.